Welcome back. In our Cypress with TypeScript series, today we are going to see how to handle iFrame and its elements by using Cypress. Okay, so iframes are basically kind of an embedded HTML element inside your the actual browser application. So just to give you an overview, let me show you how exactly a iframe looks like. Okay, so one thing is that whenever you do normal, like let's say that normal entering text or clicking on a button, if it is not inside an iframe, you can just use the directly sci command and then you can perform that. But when it is inside an iframe, you cannot directly access that. Like for an instance, there is a text box and there is a category link actually here, and you can see there are multiple iframes are there. This is the iframe 1 and this is iframe 2. So at this moment, because it is a demo application, I have kind of made a what do you call a border of this, but in real time you might not see that this is inside an iframe, and no browser application will mention that these are inside an iframe. So how do you really know that it is inside an iframe? So there are two ways actually you can identify. One is whenever you whenever you perform any action directly by using the sci command and it is not performing, it might throw you an error that it is inside an iframe, so you cannot access it. Or else what you can do, whenever anything that you get error and it's not giving any specific errors, what you can do, you can right click on that particular what do you call on that particular section. For an instance, let's say that here, now if you right click here, you can see it's showing that view frame source or reload frame. Okay, so it means that that particular element, whether it is a text or a link or a button or a text box, just outside that, if you right click on that, if any one of these options are coming, view frame source or reload frame, it means that it is inside an iframe. Especially if you see many applications, I have observed that the login functionality, when you click on a login button, it pops up into a iframe where it gives you the username and password and click on the sign in button. So there you cannot use directly by using the sci command. Okay, so you can right click on that panel and you can see if these two options are visible or not. Okay, so this is how you can identify without even going inside the HTML DOM. Another way is there, you can right click near to that what you call browser element, do an inspect, and here you can see this is inside an iframe. So you will see this is inside an iframe, and the iframes are very much similar to any other browser elements. You can see the tag name is iframe and it can have an id name or any of the attributes, but what is the difference is the content of that iframe is different. You can see it even starts with a document and then html body. So which you see in originally your application is inside an html and head and body, right? So it is entirely one sub HTML element or HTML DOM is inside in your application. It's basically embedded inside your application. Another example would be whenever you are embedding any video. Let's say that you have a video and then your browser application is giving you an option to embed that. Let's say you are having a WordPress blog or a Blogspot blog and you're uploading a video actually which is kind of embedding inside that. So it means that that video is inside an iframe, so it is giving you a frame inside that it can contain all other browser elements. That is how it is designed. Okay, so as you can see, this is a normal text box. If I inspect this, you can see it is a normal text box, but it is inside an iframe. So there are two iframes in this application. You can have any number of iframes. There is no restriction in that. And so we know now what is the tag name, how will be it structured, and inside that it will be there. Now at this moment, let's first identify this is actually frame input, right? Now I'm going to that application. I have already made the template. Here I will say sci.get and I will say frame input. That is basically the what do you call the tag name or the id of that element actually, and I will say type here, and I will say type and here I will type something, let's say that QAB box. Now let's run this one. For this I will open my terminal and I will open my Cypress UI, and you can see here the iframe.ts file will be there. If I click on this, it should launch my browser application, and as you can see it is waiting for the frame input. Even though it is present here, it is kind of not able to identify that. The reason is that you can see expected to find that element but never found it. Even though it is present, it is not coming, because whenever you are using sci.get, basically what Cypress does, it only identifies the elements within this HTML DOM only. If anything is inside an HTML, another HTML or body, it will skip that one. So it means that it is not going inside this iframe. So we have to do some kind of another step or extra step so that we can tell that Cypress to even search inside this iframe as well. So for this, what we can do, we will use the Cypress some commands actually for that. Let me show you that how to handle that. So what we can do, instead of directly identifying this one, what I can do, I'll come back here. First, I have to identify that iframe actually. So this iframe is on my second iframe here. You can see it is inside this one actually, whose ID is frame 2. So as usual, I will just do like this, and this is my frame 2. As usual, I'm identifying. But after this, what I'm going to do here is that I will click on a dot, and here what I need to do, you can see after identifying this one, after this what else is there, there is a document body actually. This body is there, so somewhere I need to reach from this iframe to this body. Then whatever I'm writing, this will be identifying here, like as usual normal Cypress identification. So I need to write a command till I should reach out to this body actually. So for this, Cypress is providing an it's actually, so it's a method or a child command which you can put on top of your get command. Means this is my HTML element. From this HTML element, take its means that elements, and this is the way. So what you need to do here, 0 dot, and here you need to say content document, that is nothing but this document actually, to identify that. Dot body, it means that first instance, because I have only one, right? It's of zeroth index because there is only one document available. Take the document. How do I identify? You can see it is highlighting that iframe, then this is inside, then the actual body is there. So that is how I'm taking it. So what I can do now here, I'll say find, and instead of now this entire thing I can write here anything that I can do inside this. Now it should type the QAB box inside that text box. Let's see. Let me save it and go to this. Okay, so the thing is that this is actually frame input. Okay, now save it and then come back. You can see the QAB box is entered inside this. Before, when we were taking, let me show you that as well, because the input was mistake, right? So here I'm taking, even though this is correct, it will not take it inside. Let me show you that. You can see the same error it is coming, that it is not able to get inside this iframe. That's why it was not able to identify. Fine. Now the same thing, let's say that I want to click on this particular button actually, or else what I want to do, I want to identify this particular text actually here. Okay, so let me copy this one and then let me go back to here, and the same thing actually here. What I need to do, I need to write this entire line of code to identify that particular iframe actually. Now here what I will do, find, and inside this I will be giving, because this is an ID, and then I will say like this. Okay, now if I'm saving this, you can see it entered that, and there is nothing, it is just identifying. You can see the frame finding. If it would if it would not have identified, then it would have been thrown error actually here, that this particular element is not identified. And you can see one problem here is that when you are going to this commands, you are not able to see the snapshot of that. You can see that on the first time when it entered that value, you have seen that, but when you are traversing inside this, It is not able to identify. There is an open issue actually with the what do you call support issue for the Cypress. The team is working already. Let me show you this one. So supports snapshotting iframe actually, and this is basically from Cypress. Somebody actually raised that question actually there, and to know more details you can see that, and this is already in open status. So whenever it is coming, I mean whenever it is closed, you can see the snapshot of that. To know more details about that, I'm copy pasting this link which you can identify, which you can refer it later actually, this one. Okay, fine. Oops, this should be the link. Okay, fine. Now that's how you can do that. Now another thing is that, okay, now because I identified the first one, I mean the second one, now let's see that I want to find the first one actually. The same thing, inspect it. Now what is it actually? Here frame one, right? Now inside this, let me go to this one actually. So what I will do, instead of this one, here I will make it as frame 1, which is my first frame, and the same thing, it's 0 content document body. Instead of this one, what is my frame text only? So here I will be identifying frame text. Okay, now save it, and let me go to this one actually. Oops, I think I closed that one. Let me reopen again or rerun this one, iframe.ts, and you can see everything is working fine from frame 2 and frame 1, everything is coming. And another thing, it is not mandatory that always you need to take the id attribute of this particular iframe. You can use name. If there is only one iframe, you can even go with the iframe tag name as well. Simple css selectors to identify the iframes, there is no problem. But here, I mean, we could able to achieve this one, right? We could able to reach out to a iframe, and then we are performing certain action. You can even click on this link also. For an instance, let's say that this is the category 3, right? Now what I can do, and I can go inside this, do this, and here find, instead of find, I can even say that contains. Okay, contains, and here category 3. So category 3, and here I will say dot click. Okay, now save it, and you can see it is even opening those things. So any kind of browser element actions you can perform within this particular Cypress actually, I mean within this iframe. But one issue you can see here is that every time I'm writing these lines of code actually, and I need to remember these things, and I always say that if you're really learning the automation testing and planning to prepare an automation framework, try to reduce the redundancy or try to reduce the number of lines of code or repetitive content actually. So for this, in our previous session we have seen how we can add custom commands, right? We have seen all available methods. If you're not watched that one, I would highly recommend to go back to the creating custom command and overriding the existing methods. That is very much essential in Cypress actually, and that is the kind of a platform to build the page object models in future, or writing the utility methods. Just to give you an overview, you can see, so in the commands.js file, so here we can add all the content like we have done the get text, get links, login we did not to write all these options, just use the login method, pass the parameter, everything this will do that. Okay, so the same thing I'm going to do here actually. So what I'm going to do here, because all these details are repeating here in all of this identification, I'll go back here and I will create a command actually here. And this command would be, let me just copy this one and then copy this one. And this is a parent command, right? So I can use this one. So instead of login, I can say get iframe. Okay, oops, iframe, and inside this no parameters at this moment, I want to send it. Okay, I just want to call sorry, I need to send a iframe element actually, or maybe I can say that iframe locator actually. So you need to pass the iframe locator. Now what you need to do, this one you copy here, and here this one, instead of hard coding this, you can do like this actually. What did happen, it didn't copy I think properly. So control C, and then here you paste it. Fine. Now inside this, whatever it is there, now this one I need to return it actually, right? So what I'm going to do, directly I can't use it as it is. Here I can put another. Now you can just play with this. First thing is that you, now how do you identify that this is present or not? I can do a simple assertion here, like a should command. I can use it, and here I can say that it is visible in the sense that iframe should be present actually on the screen to perform certain operation. Now if I call this get iframe here and I have to perform all these actions after this iframe, right, means that I have to oops, sorry. So here what I can do, I can wrap this element actually here. So what I'm going to do here, let me just put a new line so that it can be readability is more, and here I will say then, and I'm wrapping this one. How can I wrap? Actually we have already seen in our previous sessions like this, so you can wrap it. Now this get iframe will give you the exact body actually. On top of this body you can play with whatever you want. Okay, so it means that, oops, it ran. So as soon as you save it, it runs actually that one. Fine. So what I will do here, let me create another 8 blocks so that you can feel the difference. And this one I'm making it as X. Oops, sorry. I should not have saved it that moment. And here the same thing, I will navigate to this. But what I'm going to do, instead of writing all these things, I will say get iframe. And to reflect here, what I'm going to do, I have to go to the index.js or ts, because I'm using TypeScript. I have to write it here actually. So the definition of that. So what I'm going to do here, that the method name, what is the method name? That is get iframe, right? Get iframe, and inside this I'm sending iframe locator actually. So let me copy paste this iframe locator as an parameter, and this is nothing but a string, right? And what it is returning actually to me, this get iframe is a chainable html element, right? Chainable, and here element. That's why I use the then actually here. That's why I'm using then in this command.js, then wrapping that one. Okay, now everything is done. So if I now put get iframe, you can see now it is coming. What I need to send inside this, that I have to send this locator actually, whatever that iframe I want to capture it. Now dot, and I don't need to now write this its and everything. Just need to do this one actually. Okay, the same thing I can do, and I can even enter some value also, frame input text dot type, and here I will say that whatever I want to paste it. So this entire element I don't want to repeat it, and this is like normal flow only, right? Like only instead of a get parent command you are just writing get iframe. Now one good thing is that, let me just show you all these things. Delete this one, and then let's even do this one, and instead of this one I can just do like this and entirely copy paste here. So anything that you are dealing with the iframe, you can call this method, and you can click, you can enter some value, whatever you want, you can do that. Okay, now you might ask one question is that, okay, now to identify these iframes, we are switching or we are just going inside that iframe and we are performing actions. What if I want to perform an action which is out of the iframe? In Selenium or in Protractor, what we used to do, we used to switch to the iframe, perform certain operation, then we used to come back to our default content. It means that we have to come back to our original HTML DOM. But in Cypress you need not to switch back to anything. You just normally you can just type like this. Oops. So here let's say that now, and this is iframe, right? Now you don't want to perform action on an iframe, just normally you want to do simple thing. Now identify this one actually here, and then this is actually the, you can see id is input one, right? So what you can do, and here, oops, now you put this one and then just say type. Okay, so it means that you need not to switch back to anything actually. Let me show you this one, and let me close everything, and then open the Cypress UI, stop it, and then click on this iframe. This is frame input text, right? Let's see, let me go back to the original one and let's identify this one actually. Inspect and then, oh, okay, this is only frame input actually. So this is only frame input. You can see here. Okay, now let me save it and you can see now here it went to this iframe and entered the text as QAB box, then if I need not to switch back again to normally, because see this is not on an iframe, you can see right click. Okay, so here because this is, see, this is actually inside my Cypress runner, that's why everything is inside the real frame only. But if you go normally into a browser and here if you come, let me close this one and right click on this, see it is not in iframe. So that is why I can just directly use this I default command and I can use it. It means that why I'm giving these two examples is that when you want to switch to an iframe, you just need to call this get iframe, give the iframe locator, see a normal CSS selector. Then after that you take it normally as a child element, whatever you want to identify. Click it or you want to fetch some text, whatever you can do normally. But when you are coming back from this iframe and normally you are trying to identify this, enter your name, clicking on this link or clicking on this home button, you just do it a normal way actually. So you need not to switch back to the default what you call browser application or something. So that is one good thing about Cypress. Okay, so that is already taken care by the Cypress backend API. Fine. So this is pretty straightforward actually. So you now know how to identify an iframe and how to know that whether an element is present inside an iframe or not. If it is present inside an iframe, how to deal with that by writing a custom command here. That's it actually. Okay. So hope this particular session is helpful. Do subscribe to this YouTube channel and stay tuned because we will see some more Cypress related stuff. Thank you for watching.